Once upon a time, there was a girl named Anna. Anna lived in a world that was very different from ours, a world where magical creatures existed. Every day, she played with her friends in the meadows in front of her house. She played with tiny fairies, with gnomes, and even with ghosts and beings whose names she didn't even know. But that didn't matter at all. The only thing that mattered was that they were friendly and that they didn't cheat while they were playing. Her favorite thing, however, was playing with the unicorns, and sometimes they even let Anna ride on their backs. But one day, everything changed. In the sky, where the sun usually left almost every day, dark clouds appeared. Not the normal white gray clouds, but pitch black ones, behind which the sun could hardly be seen anymore. At first, Anna and her friends laughed about it and were happy that they could play in the shade and that it wasn't quite so bright and hot. But then it got a little darker every day. After a while, Anna slowly began to worry. Not only Anna, but also the families of her friends feared that the sun had said goodbye to the land and would never return. One by one, they left the country, as they had heard that far to the south the sun was still shining and the sky there had not become so dark. When eventually even the last unicorn had fled and Anna was left all alone, she looked up sadly and wondered silently if life would ever be as cheerful as it used to be. Without her friends, she could hardly imagine it. And so big tears rolled down her cheeks. But finally, she decided not to be sad, but to find out for herself what had happened to the sun and why it no longer wanted to shine. The sky was now completely black, and even at night, neither the moon nor the stars could be seen. Anna packed her things, took a large flashlight and her biggest backpack, and set off for the highest mountain she could see. Surely, from up there, she would be able to see where the sun had disappeared to. No one had ever made it to the very top of this mountain, but, she thought, no one had as good a reason as she did to try it. She would not give up until she reached the top. No sooner said than done, she set off. However, the climb up the mountain was even more exhausting than she had expected. And more than once, she thought about simply following her friends to the south. But what if the sun wasn't shining there anymore either? What if the sun had disappeared from the whole world? She had to find out what had happened. And so she continued to put one foot in front of the other and climbed further and further up the mountain. At some point, she noticed that she could hardly see anything anymore, even with her flashlight. Everything seemed to be veiled by dark shadows. With every step, it seemed to get worse. But she didn't stop, and she kept walking. After a few more steps, she suddenly blinked, rubbed her eyes because she was blinded by light? How was that possible? In front of her, she finally saw the sun she had missed so much. But all around it was a thick blanket of black clouds. And right in the middle of them, two eyes suddenly blinked. "Hey, who are you?" she shouted loudly. But instead of answering, the strange figure only dove deeper into the thick black cloud cover until it was hardly visible. "Please come out," Anna said. "I need your help." Very slowly, the creature came closer and blinked at her in confusion. "Hello, I'm Anna, and who are you?" she asked. But instead of answering, the creature jumped into the cloud cover, only to reappear a few meters away. Why is everything so dark and black here? The clouds used to be white, or at least gray. Suddenly the creature began to grin and showed Anna a giant black pen. With this pen, it immediately set to work and painted clouds that weren't quite pitch black yet to make them even darker. White, boring. Black, different, the creature said suddenly, and continued to paint happily. Anna tried to take the pen away from the creature, but it was, unfortunately, too fast, and it kept whispering, white, boring. Then Anna had an idea. She made the whole journey back, and this time she packed completely different things in her backpack. When she finally climbed the mountain again, the creature was already waiting for her and seemed happy not to be all alone up there. Anna opened her backpack, which was filled with many colorful pens. White boring, she shouted loudly, and together they set about painting the clouds. But this time, not just black, but also blue, yellow, orange, violet, and pink. And since these colors were not quite as dark, the sun actually managed to break through the clouds again. And instead of a dark, dreary sky every day, it was colorful and a little bit different every single time. Little by little, Anna's friends eventually returned and were happy to finally be able to play with Anna again. To this day, when the sun rises or sets, you can see all the colors that Anna and the sky creature used, and every sunrise looks a little bit different.